Well, good morning, brothers and sisters. It feels really, really good to be here with you. It's been a very long time. Like Bishop, there's some faces I don't recognize, but I'm looking forward to getting to know you soon. Bishop mentioned the change that we'll be making to our ministry and assignments. These changes will pertain only to the assignments. The principle of ministering has not changed and will not change. We're still to look after each other and take care of each other and help each other along the gospel path. The change that will be taking place, though, is that instead of your traditional ministry and assignments, we have divided the ward into 18 ministering pods. Those pods are geographically based. So, for example, you could have a Ross North pod, and you could have a 17th Street pod. The people in the pod will look after you, and you look after the individuals in that pod. This started off as an idea separately that the Elders Quorum and Relief Society presidencies were considering, but then jointly together we thought, hey, there's a way that we could use this to our advantage, and eventually we worked together to come up with a plan that we both felt good about, eventually with the adoption of the entire Ward Council. We will do this for a 1-year trial period, as it were. So in that 1 year, as a Ward Council, we'll assess if we're better able to minister to the one, to meet and discover individual needs. There will be an email going out this afternoon that has more information. It will be in a question and answer format. And we think that email will address a lot of the logistical questions that the ward might have. For today, though, in our short time together, I'd like to discuss some of, the why and the background of how this decision was made. Also in that email will be the actual pod lists themselves, and so early this afternoon you'll be able to look and see which pod you're in and which other families are in your pod. As Bishop mentioned, this has been a kind of a long journey. This has been going on for about a year now. As an Elders Quorum presidency, we were making some observations about the way that we minister. And as we would discuss some of these changes, eventually we talked to the Relief Society presidency and realized that they were observing a lot of the same things that we were. And I'd like to share a few examples with you. With Jensen's permission, I'll share the example from when they installed sod in their yard recently. An email was sent out to the ward saying, hey, we're going to be putting some sod into Jeremy and Tricia Jensen's yard, and we'd appreciate some help. And as we got together for that project, we looked around. I know there was a lot of us there, and Brother Anderson and Brother Collins and myself at one point sat around and said, hey, look who's here. And somebody said, yeah, it's the Jensen's pod. Because at this point, we had already been talking about the idea of organizing into pods. I can't remember everyone that was there, but I remember Brother Stapleton was there, I remember Brother Manwaring was there. Anybody who lives close to the Jensens was there. And we realized that this was essentially just a pod, a service project. I can think of another example of a young couple that moved into the ward. They're not members, but an observant neighbor saw that they were about to have a baby, and she thought, hey, I could put on a baby shower for this young couple. And she did, and she invited what was essentially their pod. And they had a very, very, very successful baby shower, and that's turned into some great relationships in the ward. Likewise, I have some neighbors that live in our cul-de-sac that decided recently to have just a cul-de-sac barbecue. And we had some families show up to that just as a neighborhood get-together that have been, resistant towards attempts at traditional ministry or home teaching as we used to think of it. But with just a get-together among neighbors, we had a great time, and we were able to build some friendships. I can think of 2 examples in the recent past where ward members have put new roofs on their house. And in both of these examples, because they wanted to just try and take care of it themselves, they didn't let anybody know, but observant neighbors saw what was going on, and they brought it to the attention of the Elders Quorum presidency and said, hey, do you think maybe we could get some extra help in here? And in both cases, what was essentially their pod showed up and helped to get a roof on the house. And finally, as we've gone through this strange COVID season, as Elders Quorum and Relief Society presidencies, we've tried to reach out to make sure that those who wanted to have a chance to partake of the sacrament had that chance. And what we realized is that we've been pretty good about getting the sacrament to people, but in most cases it hasn't been necessarily ministering brothers and sisters that have been assigned, it's been neighbors. People have turned to their friends and the people that they've known for years and sometimes decades to make arrangements to have the sacrament taken care of. So as we shared these experiences among the Elders Quorum and Relief Society, we kind of came to the conclusion that we're actually pretty good at ministering. And ministering is most effective and most natural when it's taking place among neighbors. These are people that know each other, love each other, serve each other, look out for each other. And this is a natural opportunity for us to wrap all of this under the ministering umbrella. When President Nelson first announced the retirement of home and visiting teaching and announced ministering, he said that it was in response to a desire to help church members live the two great commandments, to love God and love their neighbors. And it's in that same spirit and with that same desire that we as a Ward Council would like to make this change to ministering pods. We hope that this will help all of us to live the two great commandments, to love God and to love our neighbor. So the question is then, what do we hope to accomplish with this change to ministering pods? I think we could make a very long list, and if we had more time, under ideal circumstances, we'd love to have Sister Collins up here and in reality the entire Elders Quorum and Relief Society presidencies, but for time you're stuck with me. So I'll share some of the things that I hope to accomplish with this program. One is the faster integration of new members into our ward. Traditionally, when somebody moves into the ward, it takes time to assign them a ministering assignment, both with the Elders Quorum and also with the Relief Society. It also creates a ripple effect that can make it to where we have rapid changes, and I would say too frequent changes in our assignments. Relationships take time to build, and these frequent changes, I think, can interrupt budding relationships. We also hope that this will lead to more effective and more organic ministering. This is the way we do it anyways. We naturally look out for our neighbors. We know what's going on. We know when they're out of town. We know what they need help with. We know what children they have and what struggles they face. We know what they do for a living. We believe that as we utilize our knowledge of our neighbors, that this will lead to more effective and more organic ministry. My dad frequently taught me when I was a child that information triggers inspiration. And with the knowledge that we already have of those that live around us that we love, we believe this will lead to more opportunities for natural and effective ministry. We also hope that with this change that we will have better involvement from entire families and neighbors. So rather than just individual efforts, we believe that this will lead to opportunities for families to minister together. So this involves parents, it involves teenage youth, and it also involves children. We believe that as families we can make a difference more effectively. It's also our hope that this change in ministry and assignments will be more inclusive of non-members in our neighborhood. We hope that by making these changes, this will be an effective tool not just for ward members, but for missionary work, and that by making this change, it will combine together our ministering efforts with our missionary efforts. Also, as we've made these changes, we will have more overlap between the Elders Quorum and the Relief Society, as we're now all operating with the same ministering assignments. And so whereas before, the Elders Quorum and Relief Society worked each of us kind of individually, but attempting to work in tandem, now we're all working as one big whole, which I believe is the way the Lord intends us to work. And finally, I believe that those individuals that feel that perhaps they're not up to the task of ministering, I think will realize that they are already ministering. We have families in the ward that feel like, I'm not able to do this, I don't know what to do. And then we'll find out that those same individuals have been looking after their neighbors. They are ministering. They just didn't know it was ministering. So we're hoping that with these changes, people will realize that the acts of service that they're committing and with them helping their neighbors along the gospel path, that they actually are indeed serving as ministering brothers and sisters. I believe the list could go on, and if we had a chance to hear from the Relief Society as well today, I'm sure that Sister Collins would add several items onto that list. But we're very, very excited for these changes. We hope that as a ward that we can see the vision of serving those that live around us, taking care of other people, helping others along the gospel path, much in the same way that we've been accustomed to doing. I have a testimony of ministry. I have seen, even from people in this room, changes that have been made, habits changed, covenants made, people that have been touched because others took time to care about them and to reach out and to minister. It's my honest hope that as we make these changes as a ward, united, that we'll have the chance to minister and serve more effectively. It's my hope and prayer that as a ward, we'll take this chance, as Brother Schreiner said in his email yesterday, to recommit ourselves, not to the program, but to the principle of ministering. I share this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.